My problem here is that when you looked at just the initial facts of it, they were wrong.
And I've read Christian's article from the Denton Record Chronicle, and the biggest takeaway was that they lied.
They lied.
The Linda McNatt Shelter,
They lied.
Nikki and Mindy lied.
Yeah, and if you go back and watch any of my first videos on this, I was the first one to say, I volunteered a shelter, I'm on the board of a shelter, and I'm generally the first to defend the shelters because they are overworked, they are underpaid, and to put someone in a job like that who's never had animals, no experience with animals, no history of working in an animal services department, there are so many medications that you have to work with that are regulated drugs, protocols that have to be in place by state guidelines. When you have no history of that and you are put in a job where you're going to write standard operating procedures, how do you write an operating procedure if you don't know that? It comes from years of experience. What they did here, it affects our shelter. Now there's people on our community pages saying, oh, don't take it to the shelter. I heard they just all. No, we don't. And so now you're affecting the animals that we're supposed to be helping. So this has a ripple effect across rescues and shelters across America when a story like this happens. And I knew right when I started piecing it together, I'm like, something's missing.
What was that you knew?
It's the years of experience. To the man who brought Gunner in, he is an old man from Tarrant County. He lied. He told the police officer who found him, I lied. He was on his way to Denton. He took it to Denton. He was afraid they wouldn't take it, so he lied where he found it. I knew right away when they said it was 12 miles from his house, something's wrong. It was not, there's no way it's 12 miles. And then I knew when I saw the post, it said he's here at the animal services. And I thought, okay, why did they delete it? They very quickly deleted it.
How could one think that this could actually take place and then be swept under the rug?
I have no idea what they were thinking. But I have a feeling it's not the first time. They had done everything right. Like everything I said, did you post here? They had said, yes, we did that. Yes, they did everything right. I don't have any concrete evidence. I think the city of Denton has not been following their protocols and procedures for a while. I have talked to current employees, previous employees. I have talked to volunteers. They're all coming out of the woodwork because they're tired. They're tired of it being this way. He came in a little after 11 o'clock, which means he followed John out of the drive when John left. And he did this regularly. He would sit at the end of the private road and wait for him to come home. That's what country dogs do. If you look at the report, it says he is a geriatric dog. That doesn't mean bad. There's no negative connotation there. That just means senior. That's our way of writing senior. And he has severe arthritis, which we already have said. He's got arthritis. And so she prescribed him 2 pain medications, and one of them is also for incontinence. 3 days worth. That's 72 hours. That's the key here. Why did the shelter staff fill a prescription and take a prescription from the vet for 3 days worth of medications if they were going to euthanize him? If he was so bad and they were so concerned, why did the vet fill 3 days worth? If he was given gabapentin, 300 milligrams, then he would be tired the next morning and lethargic. The first 24 hours of that medication in a dog is the most severe reaction to it. So, and it takes obviously weeks for all of us to get our bodies acclimated to drugs. So in the morning when they come in and they say, well, he won't get up, take an Ambien at 2 in the morning and wake up at 7 a.m. and tell me if you're getting up. That's exactly what happened. It also causes immobility. He's already got immobility because of his arthritis. So he poops and pees on himself at night because he can't get up. He sleeps right through it. He sleeps through that, and he wakes up and he's defecated on himself. They come in, they see this, they're probably irritated and annoyed. Now they got to clean the dog. Now they got to clean the kennel, right? That morning at 8:31 a.m.
Wednesday.
We're now on Wednesday. Courtney gets up and calls Denton Animal Services, and it rolls to dispatch. She had no idea she was talking to dispatch. She's saying, we're on our way, we're coming to get him. Dispatch doesn't know Animal Services from a hole in the wall, except for they type in Animal Services. On their screen, it comes up, sorry, the animal shelter is closed today. You can recover your dog on Thursday. They open at, and that's probably what she was told. And she said that's what she was told. They ended up transferring her back to Animal Services, where it rang and rang and rang. No one answered the phone. Then on top of that, this is the key. 8:31 she calls. 29 minutes later, Mindy Henry, the assistant shelter manager, he pulls up his record and enters in geriatric dog, can't control bowels, can't stand up, set for euthanasia at 11 a.m. if owner does not reclaim. So this is the problem. He was there literally maybe 17 hours at this point. If he was dropped off at 11 the next day. By the time they euthanized him, it would have been 24 hours. But it's the comments that she made. Geriatric dog, can't control his bowels, can't stand up. Yes, he's medicated. And he's used to a natural diet, meaning, real food like chicken, because that's what the vet recommended previously. So just because he didn't eat, just because he couldn't stand up because you medicated him, doesn't mean he should have been euthanized. So it says, the last thing in the notes is it says, if owner does not reclaim, we'll sign off on euthanasia. How can the owner reclaim it if you don't answer your phone? If you don't have a policy within the city of Denton for dispatch to notify them that there's someone trying to reclaim a dog, if you don't have an after hours person who keeps a phone on them for after hours when they're closed, how are they supposed to notify you? People have gone up and knocked on the doors. They won't open the doors because
they were in there on Wednesday.
They have a full staff on Wednesday. They don't close on Wednesdays for cleaning. According to the city, they close on Wednesdays to do training. The reality is there are so many things wrong with this, and it starts at the very top of the city. When a city council hires a city manager, the job of the city manager in a city is to hire and fire and operate the city. Why would Sarah Hensley, the city manager, hire the assistant manager after doing a national search for a director who has no animal experience, never worked in a shelter, never volunteered in a shelter, to be the director of animal services? This is the person who's going to write protocols, procedures, policies. How does she even know what policies to write if she's never been in an animal shelter?
How does she?
She doesn't. And I don't blame her for that. Here's the thing. I don't blame Nikki for that. I blame Sarah Hensley for that.
And has Sarah come out and spoken about this at all?
She says she fully supports the staff and thinks that we just need to look into procedures and policy.
Is she not the woman who called for the
investigation? Yes.
Back in the 2023, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
And now she's calling for another investigation. Unless it's an independent investigation by a certified investigator that knows animal services, why would you hire him to investigate your animal department? Their volunteers are amazing. A lot of their lower staff are amazing. There's people on some of the senior staff, some of the senior ACOs and the management that are the problem here. Sarah's job is to hire, fire, and operate the city, not hire her friends.
This could have been swept under the rug very easily.
If they had just apologized and offered to cremate him, John probably would have gone home devastated. But it was the hand on the hip by Mindy Henry, hand up in the air, your dog pooped and it's old.
Are those her words and her actions?
According to him, that is she, and I don't know if it's the exact wording, but he said she pooped and he couldn't stand up. And then says, do you want to see him? Do you need a minute with him? Here he is in a red bag. Now the red bag is key to their policies and procedures. At the city of Denton, if the dog belongs to an owner, they put him in a red bag. If they're strays, They go into a black bag. They do that so when they go into the freezer and they're tagged, they know which ones are owner dogs, which ones are not. They gave the dog back to us. No paperwork signed, nothing. Here, and put him in the trunk.
That was it? Just the red bag and nothing?
The dog that has been euthanized and is now filled with a substance 2 level sodium barbitol. They didn't follow any of their procedures for pickup. They just put the dog in the trunk and wanted us out of there.
Did anyone at the Linda McNatt Shelter ever show any sympathy and there was no I'm sorry?
No apology. No phone call from anyone in the city manager, city council, nobody. We are not mad at him. We don't want him to beat himself up for this because we know that he knows about it and he's very upset about it. He was doing the right thing with the best intentions. You've got to give grace where you see it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that he even feels horrible about it shows you his compassion level. I think the city went on their own little let's make the family look bad roadshow after this happened. We reached out to him. We couldn't get a hold of him. Well, I got him in 10 minutes. You got him in 10 minutes. I'm sorry. Really? You know the dog's name. So you couldn't have typed in his name and the owner's name and chances are a Facebook post would have come up. You never know. Then they had city employees, spouses going on social media. Well, he did this. Look at this post that he wrote in May. Da, 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 da. So what, now we're gonna have the spouses of the people who work in the city go attack the family on social media to try and change the narrative of this story? We need to email the city council in Denton and demand that they hire someone and that they fire the city manager and they fire the management staff at the animal shelter and they start over. They need to bring in someone with experience, who has compassion, who is driven every day to help animals. Because I can tell you from what I know, this is not the first case. There are a lot of other issues where they're not following policies either.
But do you think that's actually going to happen? If we can be, let's be realistic.
I told John from the day I got involved in this, I said, my job is to advocate for Gunner. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that Gunner's death is going to have a much bigger, his life and his death will have a much bigger purpose than you ever expected. If the city thinks they're going to wipe this under the rug and in a week from now, this is going away, I will show up at every city council meeting with every advocate I can bring to demand that they change this. What happened was 100% avoidable.
That vet did not say this dog, Gunner needs to be euthanized.
No, if the vet thought he was in that much distress at that time, the vet would have said so. And
they wouldn't have given a 3-day prescription for gabapentin.
I am not mad at the vet in this case in any instance. They did their job. Mm-hmm. RSVP Veterinary Care, who's the contracted facility for the animal shelter, they did their job. And she did her job as a medical licensed veterinarian. She said he may be in some pain, so let's give him some stuff to keep him comfortable for the next 72 hours. At that point, we make a next determination if there's no owner. Do you have anything you want to say regarding the statement in the Denton Chronicle that you consulted on Gunner's euthanasia? And I got back a response from Monica Hughes, who is the owner of the company. No, our vet saw the dog at 3:52, prescribed 2 medications, and had no other conversations with the city of Denton shelter staff after that regarding the dog at all. I said, so to be clear, you never had any consultation regarding Gunner's euthanasia? No, we did not. But the fact that the city would try to put this on their vet and make it their vet's fault when this vet has a license, that is wrong.
Because for how long did people think to themselves, because of what was put out there by the Linda McNatt Animal Shelter, that vet suggested euthanasia? Yes. And then it comes out, no, that vet didn't.
And I don't blame Monica Hughes for telling the truth, because the reality of this is she's not going to risk her business or lose her license or her veterinary licenses for her veterinary people. She's not the vet. She's the owner of the company, but she's not going to risk her veterinarians losing their license because the city of Denton wants to lie.
They turned on their own vet.
So I don't hold the vet accountable in any of this. Why does Mindy Henry and Nikki Sesnes, the director and assistant director, and let me say this in the nicest way I can, where in the hell do they get off thinking that they have enough medical expertise and that they are smarter than a veterinarian. If that vet thought Gunner was in that much distress that they have been describing in all of their posts, the vet would have recommended that day, if he is not better in the morning, then I'd suggest you euthanize him. The vet did not say that. She never talked with euthanasia about them. But don't kill a dog because you've had a bad day. And don't kill a dog because you think this one is cute and this one is ugly. And don't ever sit there and say, I have the medical expertise to know this dog is suffering so bad that I'm going to euthanize it and take away the owner's rights in that 72 hours. I mean, you got some salt and pepper. Should we euthanize you, Paul?
Not today. No,
I
would never.
One of my videos, I love queso, so I'm a little fluffy, not fat. I had a hard time getting up out of the leather recliner. Should we euthanize me? I'm 47. I'm about to be a senior. I think the entire senior management at Linda McNatt Animal Shelter needs to be terminated. And I think they need to start over with a brand new director who can build his own team or her team and create an environment that is good. And that's going to be a hard thing to do when you have senior officers set in their ways or senior management set in their ways. And these women made their choices and they will have whatever consequence comes from that. And I do believe that should be termination. I can tell you in all my years of advocating, I have never called for a staff member to be terminated. And I don't believe Gunner's the only dog. There's more to come. And we are asking anybody, if you live in Denton, if you volunteer, if you work there, if you're part of the foundation, if anyone wants to speak to us, we've set up the email justiceforgunner2024@gmail.com. We are willing to listen to you and we will not disclose that you talked to us. You can also text me. My phone number, if you just Google my name, my phone number is up there. I also do real estate, so it's right there on any internet. For us to get and find the information to continue to keep uncovering these things, we need to know where to look. And those are the people who know. And I will protect them to my deathbed. We've already unleveled this. At this point, we might as well just get it all out there and start over. What makes me the most mad out of all of this is what it does to every other U.S. shelter and rescue. It's such a setback. It hurts. It hurts. And I understand that they're getting threats, and we've said over and over we don't want that. But the reality is our shelter has gotten phone calls. Other shelters are getting phone calls, and people are calling us dog killers. This affects every shelter around you. And ultimately, it affects the pets.
Who we're advocating for in the first place.
Correct. And I don't want anyone to threaten these women. I don't. This needs to be handled legally and through the system. So finding their homes, doxing their information, which has been happening, that should not be happening. If we love animals, we don't do that. Those are keyboard warriors and it needs to stop. Gunner would want this handled the right way and his death will have a much bigger purpose. And I think that's all John wants, right? Is he wasn't set to die yet. It could have happened 2 months from now. Who knows how his arthritis would have gone, but he was doing great. And I just feel like at this point, I have been with every one of my dogs when they've had to go to the Rainbow Bridge. And I have looked at every one of them in the eye because I made a commitment to them the day I got them. The day you leave this earth, I will look you in the eyes and tell you how much you were loved and how much you were wanted. And I have done that with every single one of them. They took that from him. The culpability on the side of the city and the animal shelter, as far as their management team, it's the worst I've ever seen, to be honest with you. And it breaks my heart for this family.
And all those dogs who couldn't speak for themselves.
How many other dogs were there? That's what I want to know.